Hello, everyone. I have asked Klaas Klasing, CTO and co-founder of TheNextWe, to share his professional experience on leadership and change with us. And he should be online. Klaas, how are you?
I am. Hi, Mira.
Perfect. Klaas,
Great. Good to see you.
Thanks for joining. Klaas, we have talked about corporate innovation and how the mindset is playing a decisive role in implementing change. With TheNextWe, you have made this idea of transformation, leadership, and culture your business. So maybe you quickly let us know what TheNextWe is all about before we get into the topic.
Perfect. Yes. Let me just say, maybe start by saying that I love the discussion so far, partly because by training, I'm actually an engineer. I'm a techie. And so I've been on the side of mobility services, and also now we deal with actually on a daily basis with this whole mindset topic. So I really, what Nicola and also Nico were saying, that actually resonated a lot before. TheNextWe supports companies of all sizes, so from the startup to sort of the DAX, Fortune 500 level corporate, and actually in all industries. With one crucial aspect, and that's what we call collective mindset change. And the idea here is basically most companies, they already realize, there's several things we need to do to make the transformation successful. The topic is usually very specific to the company. It could be anything, they want to be more agile, more innovative. They want to have better collaboration. They want to have a different leadership style. Often it's cultural change topics. And the companies usually figure out very well, what is it we need to do to achieve this change? And then, especially Germany being a process-oriented and engineering-focused country, we're very good at saying, how do we need to do it on the process level? Mm-hmm. So there's organizational changes that need to take place. What are the individual measures? What kind of trainings do we send our employees to? So that's usually very well, and companies are usually well along the way to do this. But there's one puzzle piece that we realized when we founded TheNextWe that's often missing, and that's sort of the why, or actually on the level of the individual employee, the what's in it for me, like why should I go along, or even, go along with this change, or even help drive it. And so essentially what we do at TheNextWe is we do this. We accompany every employee that's involved or actually affected by the transformation in the company on an individual basis with a professional coach and an app for 12 weeks. And we go through this process of looking at, what would be a positive and mindset and a positive context for them, so that they would have a very, personal gain and benefit from, being a part of this transformation. And that's basically creating a win-win, because on the individual level, every person is able to achieve a personal development goal, and that usually opens up a whole new playing field for that individual. On the company level, you basically unleash sort of this collective energy by changing, these individual trajectories. And we're talking basically hundreds of people in parallel that we accompany. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. We've been doing this for 3 years, basically with, as I said, companies of all sizes, but more recently with SMEs, sort of German Mittelstand, and increasingly with corporate transformation programs. And it's worked wonders. It's amazing to see like the potential that you unleash within these companies.
How do you really make sure that your training really proves altered behavior in the long term? Like this is maybe, why is it not just a snapshot? I mean, how do you make sure it's really lasting longer?
That's an excellent question. I mean,
essentially I'm trying here. I'm trying for you, Klaas.
Essentially, you're saying, how do you make it sustainable, right?
Yeah.
And so in our experience, what works really well is if you combine two things. One is what we call new thinking, and then it has to be followed by new doing. And there's a lot of solutions in the market that do either one of these. So, for example, in the coaching consulting sphere, you could have a lot of solution providers that would send a team of professionals, and they would try and find, a very professional solution with you. But then when they're gone, you're often left, to your own devices, and you have to like figure out how to continue doing this. On the other end of the spectrum, you have, and a lot of companies actually realize this. They see a result that they don't like, and they say, okay, this result is, it comes from a certain behavior, so we have to change the behavior. And this is perfectly normal. We all do this, right? It's actually what we do for New Year's resolutions, right? So I've gained a couple pounds. Well, I should go running more often.
Are you going running
I
more
should
often?
listen more. Actually, I am.
Yes, okay, great, sorry. Go on.
So I'm a living example that habit formation can work without mindset change. But usually what happens, and you might know this from, and I certainly know this from New Year's resolutions, is that this type of, I don't like the results, I have to change my behavior. This only works as long as you focus actively on this behavior change. And then something else happens, daily business gets crazy, or you talked about stuff hitting the fan earlier. And that's usually when, you're thrown off track, and then, it's over. You don't actually go running for, twice a week or whatever. And so there's actually a triangle, if you will. The results that I just talked about, they result from, how you behave. But how you behave, that's actually controlled by your belief systems, or better explained, the mindset that's behind it. And so the really sustainable method to change, to get to a new result, is to first look at what do you think, what are the belief systems, we call this self-limiting beliefs that you have regarding a certain topic, and then transform these into something like a positive and enabling, a functional mindset that will inspire you, and where you'll say, okay, I really want to go forward to achieve this. That'll translate automatically into new behavior, and then this behavior yields new results. And so the key, as I said initially, is to combine these two things. If you just did the mindset change and then stopped, it's like an academic exercise. You have this huge insight, and you're like, wow, so this is what's been holding me back for the last couple of years or whatever. But you don't follow up with new behavior. So then, it's not sustainable. If you just try to do the habit formation, but you never resolve sort of the root cause, the mindset behind it, you're also left with something unsustainable. But what we essentially do, we work with every participant for 12 weeks. And actually, every participant gets a professional coach that works with a certain methodology, a consistent methodology. And so for 4 weeks, they just work on the mindset. And at the end of these 4 weeks, they have established a new positive enabling mindset. And only then do they go into an implementation phase that lasts about 8 weeks. And this is where you actually try out new behavior in daily business. So you will go into your team meeting and do something differently. You will go to your boss and, I don't know, say something completely different that you would have never said to your boss. You will talk differently with your customers. And obviously, it'll go wrong at the beginning, and then you have a coach by your side that has more of a mentorship role in this phase that'll help you pull through with it. And at the end, this is basically the reason why it's impactful after 12 weeks. And our value promise is essentially, we can come in, we help you, and after 12 weeks, we can leave, and people can actually carry on, delightfully and sustainably with this new behavior.
But you explained how you really approach the groups. On the one hand, you have someone who is dedicated to the company because he just founded it with his team. On the other hand, you maybe have a corporate setup where there is more of a 9-to-5 attitude. So how do you actually approach these different groups?
Well, the topics that we work on are really specific to the companies that we work with. In startups, it's often an organization that's growing very quickly. So these would be topics like people that have never been in a leadership role, and they suddenly end up having a team of 5 to 10 people. In the corporate settings, it's often leaders that are experienced, but they would like to sort of, for example, attain a new leadership style. And in terms of, I guess, what motivates people, I don't think there's that many differences, actually, because, people want to grow and they want to belong. And those are the two motivating factors.